It started as a normal day for one man, digging through his pocket change. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Quarters jingled in his hand, each one seeming like the same coin he had spent 100 times before. But then one coin caught his eye, just a tiny glint, almost invisible to anyone else. Yet it held a secret that could change his life forever. This coin, a 1989 Washington quarter, would soon be worth over $1 million. Most people would have tossed it in the jar with the rest of their change. But he didn't. Something about it felt different. The edges, the shine, the way it almost seemed to glow under the kitchen light. Collectors would later call it a miracle. Dealers would fight over it. And yet, at that moment, it was just a coin in a man's hand, waiting to reveal its hidden power. The story of this coin goes back to the U.S. Mint, where billions of quarters are struck every year. Thousands of workers, machines, and processes, all designed to produce identical coins. But in 1989, something slipped through. A tiny error, almost imperceptible, that would make this coin one of the most sought-after treasures in modern numismatics. Collectors call it a minting anomaly. The coin carries a detail most people never notice. A faint doubling on the date, a slightly off-center strike, perhaps a doubling of Washington's face. These mistakes, minute and invisible to most, create an unbelievable value. What seems ordinary is actually extraordinary, and only a trained eye can spot it. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The man took the coin to a local dealer, thinking it might be worth a few dollars above face value. The dealer looked at it, examined it closely, and suddenly his eyes widened. He picked it up, held it under the light, and whispered a word that would echo in the collector's mind forever: million. You see, the 1989 Washington quarter isn't just any coin. Its rarity is compounded by a combination of errors and mint conditions that only appear once in a generation. Coins like this don't just sit on shelves. They disappear into private collections, locked away from the world. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, an unexpected treasure that could have been thrown away in a hurry. Dealers around the country began hearing whispers. Auctions were preparing to list coins they thought were ordinary. But then, some were stunned when a coin like this surfaced. One auction house reported a single 1989 quarter selling for over $1 million. The room went silent, jaws dropped, pins stopped moving. Collectors had seen millions in coins before, but this was different. This was a coin hiding in plain sight, almost mocking the world with its secret worth. And here's the shocking part most people miss. You could be holding this coin in your hand right now, sifting through your loose change. You could walk past it every day without knowing that it's hiding an unbelievable fortune. Most people never even think to look closely at a 1989 quarter. They glance, they spend, they toss. But the rare ones, the ones with minting errors, have the power to transform lives overnight. This isn't just about money. It's about discovery. It's about holding history in the palm of your hand. Imagine the thrill of realizing that a simple coin you almost spent on parking could actually be worth $1 million. Imagine telling friends, family, or even strangers that your change is now priceless. That's the power of the 1989 Washington quarter. Collectors are obsessed with details, and every detail matters. The exact look of Washington's profile, the alignment of the rim, the spacing of the letters, a slight doubling in the date, a subtle misstrike. These are the clues that separate ordinary quarters from million-dollar treasures. And once you know what to look for, your perspective on pocket change will never be the same. But even seasoned collectors can make mistakes. Some coins may appear similar, but fail to reach this level of value. One slight imperfection, one misjudged strike, and the coin loses millions in potential worth. That's why knowledge is power. That's why seeing is believing. And that's why spotting a 1989 quarter with these specific anomalies could be the most exciting moment of your life. And there's more. This coin isn't just valuable for what it is today. It's an investment, a time capsule. Each scratch, each shine, each subtle irregularity tells a story of the mint's processes, of history, and of chance. Coins like this are whispers from the past, reminders that even in the most ordinary objects, the extraordinary can be hidden. Imagine the thrill of taking this coin to a dealer, feeling the tension as they examine it. Imagine watching their eyes widen as they say the words you never expected. This is worth over $1 million. One man's change becomes another man's legend. That's the emotional power of this coin. It's not just money. It's a story, a journey, a dream realized. Now, here's how you can identify one of these exact coins. Look for the P mint mark, centered perfectly near the date. Examine the date closely. Any hint of doubling or unusual thickness is crucial. The rim should be well defined, but not perfectly uniform. Check the lettering carefully. Inconsistencies can be the key to spotting this coin. And always compare it with a standard 1989 P quarter. You'll start noticing details most people miss. Collectors have spent years training their eyes to see what most can't. And you can too. But there's no replacement for patience, curiosity, and careful observation. Every drawer, every jar, every pocket could be hiding a once-in-a-lifetime coin. And the 1989 P Washington quarter proves it. The fortune is in the details to S.O. The next time you dig through your loose change, remember this story. Remember the man who almost tossed $1 million coin. Remember the auction rooms that went silent. Remember that the ordinary can be extraordinary, hiding in plain sight. This exact 1989 P Washington quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. One coin, one chance, one life-changing discovery. Imagine that, a piece of pocket change, forgotten in a drawer, suddenly transforming someone's life forever. It all starts with a subtle, almost invisible error. The 2001 D North Carolina quarter looks ordinary to the untrained eye. Circulated quarters, jingling in jars, wallets, and cup holders every day. But this one hides a secret that only a handful of collectors truly understand. Hidden in its metal is a minting mistake so rare, so elusive, that experts still talk about it in hushed tones at coin shows. Collectors were shocked when the first of these coins appeared on auction. What seemed like a simple state quarter from the early 2000s suddenly sold for a staggering amount. Dealers and enthusiasts gasped. One coin, taken casually from a bankroll, became a symbol of hidden fortune. And then the word spread. If you had a 2001 D North Carolina quarter with a certain flaw, you weren't holding just a quarter. You were holding $1 million possibility. The coin story begins at the Denver Mint, where billions of coins were stamped in 2001. Most emerged flawless, ready for circulation. But a tiny, almost imperceptible misalignment occurred during the minting of some North Carolina quarters. The minting error altered the strike in a way that is incredibly rare, so rare that only a fraction of collectors will ever see one in their lifetime. Imagine a man at a flea market, flipping through pocket change. His fingers pause on a quarter that looks normal. It's warm from someone else's hand. He's about to toss it aside when something glints strangely in the light. A ridge, a double strike on the D mint mark. It seems impossible. Dealers would later call it a $1 million miracle. And that man's life changed forever with a single coin. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Once news of the coin's existence leaked, collectors scoured coin rolls, checking every 2001 D North Carolina quarter they could find. Lines at coin shops stretched for blocks. Experts rushed to verify authenticity. Auctions became battlegrounds. A coin that could have been spent on a cup of coffee now commanded staggering sums. The flaw is subtle. Most people overlook it. But experts know that the D mint mark isn't just slightly off. It shows a doubled impression, a misalignment that occurred only once in every tens of thousands of quarters minted that year. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Collectors were shocked to discover that some coins showed an even more unusual feature, a faint die crack running through the lower rim. It's almost ghostly, only visible under bright light or magnification, but it adds exponentially to the coin's value. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these rare errors, knowing that each one could bring more than $1 million at auction. The story of this coin isn't just numbers and metal. It's the story of luck, timing, and discovery. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. Another found one in an old jar of quarters inherited from a relative, a coin no one thought twice about, until an expert flipped it under a magnifying glass and gasped. What had been ordinary, what had been forgotten, became extraordinary overnight. Imagine holding a coin in your hand, unaware that it could change your life. That's what collectors felt when they first laid eyes on the 2001 D North Carolina quarter. They knew they were witnessing something unprecedented. And as the auctions continued, with prices climbing into the millions, one question haunted every coin enthusiast. Could I have one of these hidden in my own change? And the answer is yes, it's possible. But only if you know what to look for. This coin has distinct features that set it apart. First, check the D mint mark carefully. Look for the doubling, a subtle ghost image behind the primary strike. Then examine the rim for faint die cracks, often curving along the bottom edge. Light and angle are everything. Under a magnifying glass, the coin reveals its secret, but there's a trap many collectors fall into. Some coins mimic these errors, small scratches or circulation marks that appear similar. That's why verification by an expert is essential. The right appraisal can mean the difference between a few dollars and over $1 million. Auction stories continue to astound. One coin sold quietly online for nearly $1 million, a private sale with only 2 witnesses. Another appeared in a local coin shop, mistakenly priced at face value, only for the shop owner to realize too late what he had just nearly given away. Dealers and collectors learned a crucial lesson. This coin is not just currency, it's treasure. Every line, every ridge, every tiny misalignment tells a story of rarity and value. And yet, the coin remains within reach. A collector's eye, a careful hand, and a little luck could uncover one in the most ordinary places. A jar on the kitchen counter, a tip jar at a diner, even a forgotten coin roll tucked away in a drawer. One man found his in a dusty old bag of coins from 2001. Coins he'd saved for sentimental reasons. He never imagined one could be worth over $1 million. The thrill, the disbelief, the life-changing moment. It's what every coin collector dreams about. And now, with the knowledge of what to look for, you could experience that too. Examine the 2001 D North Carolina quarter closely. Look for the double D mint mark. Inspect the rim for faint die cracks. Compare it against standard quarters to spot differences in detail. This coin is subtle, but the reward is monumental. And remember, timing is everything. The market is watching. Dealers are ready. Auctions are hungry for authentic examples. If you uncover one, it could mean $1 million miracle in your hands. Imagine that, a single piece of pocket change, overlooked, forgotten, suddenly holding a fortune that could change someone's life forever. Back in 2001, the U.S. Mint struck millions of Kentucky state quarters. They were everywhere, in change jars, in cash registers, in car cup holders. Most were ordinary, unnoticed, destined to spend and disappear. But a few were different. Hidden in plain sight, they carried subtle errors that made them incredibly rare. And one of those errors turned an everyday quarter into $1 million miracle. Collectors first noticed it when a retired teacher, sorting through decades of change, spotted something unusual. The coin looked normal at first glance, but then, under close inspection, a tiny anomaly appeared near the mint mark. It was almost invisible, a small die crack along the D, a sign that the Denver Mint had made a mistake during production. Most people would toss this coin into the vending machine without a second thought. But one sharp-eyed collector knew immediately. This could be special. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. That tiny, almost invisible defect turned the coin into a sought-after rarity. Dealers and collectors began scouring bankrolls, coin jars, even couch cushions, hoping to find another. The frenzy was real. Suddenly, everyone was chasing a coin that had once been ignored, a coin that held the secret to $1 million discovery. You might wonder, how does a coin go from pocket change to $1 million treasure? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and history. The 2001 D Kentucky quarter in perfect uncirculated condition, showing that subtle die crack near the mint mark, became a collector's holy grail. Only a handful exist, and each one is more valuable than most people could imagine. One man's ordinary savings became a life-changing fortune because he knew what to look for. But here's the twist most people miss. Not all die cracks are created equal. Dealers stress this again and again. The placement, size, and clarity of the mint mark flaw determine the coin's value. A misplaced crack here or there could reduce a potential $1 million coin to ordinary change. That's why spotting the right 2001 D Kentucky quarter is crucial, and why so many collectors are still searching. That I still remember the day a local collector brought one of these coins to a show. He had discovered it in a jar of quarters at his grandkid's lemonade stand. He thought it was funny, just another coin for the collection. But when a dealer examined it under a magnifying glass, their eyes widened. "This is $1 million coin," they whispered. The collector laughed at first, thinking it was a joke. But a few weeks later, the auction results proved it. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, and for a perfect specimen, approaching $1 million. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The die crack is subtle, often disguised by the coin's natural wear. Some quarters may even appear flawless to the untrained eye. But with a keen look at the D mint mark area and careful observation of the coin's surface, you can spot the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Every time one surfaces, the market buzzes. It's not just the coin. It's the story, the drama, the sudden realization that one overlooked piece of change can hold more value than most people earn in a year. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. That's the beauty of coin collecting. It's suspense, history, and hidden treasures all wrapped into one. Every roll of quarters you open could contain a story no one has ever told, a fortune no one has ever imagined. And in the case of the 2001 D Kentucky quarter, that fortune could literally be sitting in your wallet. Collectors were shocked when a coin surfaced at auction, pristine and flawless, bearing the mint mark error so rare it nearly defied belief. Bidding went wild. Phones rang off the hook. Emails flooded inboxes. What had once been an ordinary quarter became the centerpiece of a collector's lifetime. The difference between an ordinary coin and $1 million coin can be smaller than a pinprick. The exact position of the die crack, the sharpness of the lettering, and the coin's overall condition matter more than most people think. One small detail, easily overlooked by the untrained eye, can mean the difference between a few cents and a fortune. The D for Denver. Examine it closely for tiny lines or cracks extending from the letter. Next, inspect the coin's overall surface. Does it have the natural luster of an uncirculated coin, or is it worn down from years of use? Finally, compare it to images of verified examples. Even experts can be fooled by counterfeit or repaired coins, so accuracy is key. That it's not just about spotting a flaw. It's about understanding its story. Each crack, each tiny anomaly, tells a tale of the coin's journey through the mint, its near escape from obscurity, and its sudden rise to fame. That's what makes this 2001 D Kentucky quarter so extraordinary. It's not just a coin, it's a piece of living history, a treasure hiding in plain sight. Imagine holding one of these coins in your hand, feeling the smooth edges, the weight, the subtle imperfections that make it unique. You realize that this little piece of metal, once part of ordinary transactions, now carries the potential to change your life forever. That's the emotional punch of coin collecting. The thrill, the suspense, the life-altering discovery that could be just a quarter away. It could be sitting in your drawer right now, among your everyday change, overlooked coins, or stacks of quarters waiting for laundry or vending machines. There could be a 2001 D Kentucky quarter, flawless, with the tiny mint mark error that transforms it from ordinary to million-dollar. Collectors are constantly on the hunt, and every find reignites the dream. Every bankroll, every jar of coins, holds the possibility of a life-changing miracle. And the 2001 D Kentucky quarter, with its mysterious backstory, subtle flaws, and extreme rarity, is one of the most exciting examples of that dream coming true. So the next time you sort through coins, remember this story. Look closer. Examine every detail. The difference between ordinary change and $1 million fortune could be just a magnifying glass away. This exact quarter, with its hidden defect, could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It could be worth over $1 million. Imagine holding what seems like an ordinary quarter in your hand, only to discover it carries a fortune that could change your life forever. That's the story of the 2002 D Tennessee quarter, a coin hiding a secret that most collectors have no idea exists. It all begins with a tiny detail on the coin's edge, something so subtle that nearly every person who glanced at it simply saw another piece of pocket change. But the truth is, this minute minting error transformed an everyday quarter into a collector's treasure worth millions. In the quiet halls of coin dealers and auction houses, Whispers began circulating in 2002, the year this quarter was minted. Few noticed at first, but a handful of sharp-eyed collectors started realizing that something was different. The design, the strike, even the way the metal caught the light. There was a hidden anomaly, invisible to the untrained eye. Collectors were shocked when one of these quarters appeared in a small, unassuming collection. A man had bought a handful of change at a local store and tossed the coins in a jar on his kitchen counter. Weeks later, while cleaning, he noticed one quarter that looked just a little off. The color, the shine, even the way the letters seemed slightly misaligned. It didn't belong. What he held was the 2002 D Tennessee quarter, a coin with a minting mistake that had escaped notice for decades. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on these quarters as news spread. One auction house reported a single coin selling for a jaw-dropping price, nearly $1 million. And that's just the beginning. Because each discovery sparked a frenzy, collectors scoured drawers, old coin rolls, even their grandparents' forgotten jars of pennies and nickels, desperate to find this hidden gem. But what makes this coin so valuable isn't just its rarity. It's the story, the drama, the secret that it carries. The Tennessee quarter was part of a special state series, but the Denver Mint made a subtle error during production. A tiny misstrike, almost invisible, created a variation that collectors now call the holy grail of state quarters. Most people toss it aside without a second glance, unaware that this small error could be worth over $1 million. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. He didn't even know what he had. A simple glance in the light, a hint of misalignment, and suddenly a lifetime of dreams was possible in the palm of his hand. Stories like this are why coin collecting is so addictive. The idea that any ordinary day, any casual purchase at the grocery store, could deliver a life-altering discovery. And yet, so many people miss it. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. Collectors discovered that the error wasn't obvious in every example. Some coins had slightly less pronounced features, some had minor die cracks, details that make identification tricky. That's why the real value lies in knowing exactly what to look for. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The key is the alignment and the strike of the coin. On genuine 2002 D Tennessee quarters with this rare variation, the words "In God We Trust" appear just slightly raised, almost like a whisper above the surface. The D mint mark is subtly deeper than usual, and the state outline, Tennessee, has a faint doubling that is easy to overlook. Miss it, and you've just walked past a fortune. Spot it, and suddenly a pile of spare change is a treasure chest. Collectors who've hunted for years describe the excitement as electric. There's nothing quite like holding a coin in your hand that has the power to change everything. And it's not just about money. It's the story, the mystery, the thrill of uncovering something hidden in plain sight. You can almost feel the history in your fingers, the hands that once handled this coin, unaware of its potential. Don't clean it, don't polish it, don't even touch it too much. Every abrasion, every scratch, can erase the subtle signals that make this coin a $1 million artifact. This isn't just a coin. It's a piece of history, a whisper from the past, a bridge to unimaginable wealth. Some collectors have traveled thousands of miles chasing these quarters, only to return empty-handed, frustrated, and exhausted. But those who are patient, meticulous, and detail-oriented often find their efforts rewarded. One man even found a 2002 D Tennessee quarter in a roll of coins from a bank, casually waiting to be discovered. He didn't realize its value until he showed it to an expert, who gasped, knowing instantly that this was one of the rarest state quarters in existence. And now, here's the crucial part: how to know if you're holding this fortune. First, check the mint mark. The D should be deeply struck. Look at the lettering, particularly "In God We Trust," and the tiny details of Tennessee's outline. Compare it to standard coins, and watch for subtle doubling or misalignment. This is the hallmark of the rare 2002 D Tennessee quarter. Remember, even experienced collectors sometimes overlook it, so take your time. Imagine going through a jar of coins, your hand brushing over ordinary quarters, when suddenly, you pause. There it is. That slight imperfection, that hidden whisper of a minting mistake, catches your eye. Your pulse quickens, your breath catches. Could it be the coin worth $1 million? This quarter has changed lives. Ordinary collectors have found themselves overnight millionaires. Auction records show staggering sales. Experts confirm that there is nothing quite like it. A coin that could have been overlooked, tossed aside, lost in a drawer for decades, suddenly delivering unimaginable fortune. Never underestimate the power of a tiny error, a subtle misstrike, a coin that seems ordinary but hides a secret. The thrill of discovery is what drives collectors forward. In the 2002 Tennessee quarter is the ultimate prize. So if you have a jar of change, a forgotten drawer, or a stack of coins in a dusty corner, don't pass them by. Look carefully. Examine every detail. That ordinary coin could be extraordinary. That ordinary quarter could be $1 million miracle. Imagine that, something so ordinary, lying unnoticed, suddenly becoming the treasure of a lifetime. And it all starts with the 1981 P. Washington quarter. Most people see it as just another coin, but collectors know there's a hidden secret that could transform a casual find into unimaginable wealth. It was one of those ordinary mornings when a man, sorting through coins he'd collected over the years, noticed something strange. A quarter caught the light differently. Its edges were sharper, its details unnaturally crisp, almost as if it had never been touched. Most people would toss it in a jar or spend it without a second thought, but he paused. He held it closer, and what he saw next stunned him. This coin carried a hidden minting anomaly, a detail so subtle that even seasoned collectors often miss it. It wasn't obvious at first glance. It wasn't flashy, but it was there, a whisper of imperfection in the machine-struck perfection of the U.S. Mint. These small variations, unnoticed by the casual eye, are exactly what can turn a common coin into $1 million marvel. Collectors were shocked when the news broke. Dealers rushed to locate this exact variant, and suddenly, a coin that once circulated unnoticed became the talk of auctions across the country. One man's pocket change had become $1 million miracle, all because he had the eyes to see what others overlooked. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. This quarter, seemingly ordinary, was traced back to a rare batch from the Philadelphia Mint. In that batch, a tiny percentage of coins were struck with such precision that they avoided the usual wear and flaws, creating a collector's dream. This 1981 P quarter wasn't just rare, it was perfect in a way most quarters never are. Imagine holding a coin in your hand, knowing that its value isn't just sentimental. Its rarity is encoded in the metal, in the way the mint struck it, in details that most people overlook. And yet, it's sitting in jars, in drawers, in the pockets of people who will never realize its true potential. The thrill isn't just in the coin itself. It's in the chase, the discovery, the realization that this tiny piece of metal could change a life forever. Dealers are scrambling. Collectors are scouring their collections. And auctions are witnessing jaw-dropping bids for coins that, not long ago, were dismissed as everyday currency. One auction alone saw a near-record sale, as this exact 1981 P. Washington quarter passed hands for an amount that would make most people's jaws drop. Over $1 million for a coin smaller than a thumb. But here's the thing most people miss. Not every 1981 P quarter is worth millions. There are specific identifiers, tiny details that determine whether a coin is simply a quarter or a treasure. The luster, the depth of the design, the sharpness of George Washington's features, these are clues. Look closely at the rim, at the letters. Coins with unusually strong strikes, precise details, and flawless surfaces are the ones that have drawn the highest bids. One collector shared the moment he realized the significance. He had spent years hunting coins, learning to spot anomalies, understanding mint batches, and memorizing subtle differences. And there it was, a coin that fit every criterion. His heart raced. The knowledge that he might be holding $1 million coin made every second feel electric. The coin's backstory adds another layer of drama. In 1981, the U.S. Mint produced millions of quarters, but only a select few were struck in a way that would make them stand out decades later. These coins were essentially lost in circulation, unrecognized for their potential. The story of this quarter is the story of every collector's dream. Something ordinary hiding extraordinary value. The thrill is in discovering what most will never notice, in knowing that you found something no one else could see. It's the subtle gleam, the unblemished surfaces, the perfect strike that tells a story of rarity, value, and destiny. Collectors have tried to reverse engineer why this batch is so valuable. They studied the minting processes, the dyes used, and even the handling at the Philadelphia Mint. And what they found is astonishing. Coins like this are not mistakes. They're the rare, intentional exceptions that the Mint never advertised. It's a secret only time and observant collectors could reveal. Dealers who get their hands on this coin understand its gravity. They know that to the untrained eye, it's a common quarter. But to those who recognize the subtleties, it's a life-changing artifact. The chase is intense. Stories of coins found in old jars, tucked into drawers, even discovered in change boxes at grocery stores, have surfaced, each ending with the same astonished disbelief. How could something so small be worth $1 million? Pay attention because identifying this coin requires precision. Look for the sharpness of George Washington's hair, the depth of the motto, and the luster of the metal. Avoid coins with worn edges or scratches. The surface must be pristine, the strike flawless. These are the markers that separate an everyday 1981 P quarter from the one worth over $1 million. The story comes full circle with a dramatic twist. One man, who found this coin almost discarded in his own collection, realized its value only after consulting an expert. The appraisal confirmed it. A quarter he had barely noticed decades earlier could now fetch upwards of $1 million. It's the dream every collector carries, the miracle that turns pocket change into unimaginable wealth. You're at home, sorting through coins, perhaps sipping your morning coffee, when your eyes catch a gleam. You pick up a 1981 P quarter. You inspect it closely. Could this be the one? Could your ordinary coin jar hold the key to $1 million treasure? The possibilities are endless, and the excitement is electric. This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, hidden, unappreciated, waiting for the moment it finally reveals its true value. Its story is one of mystery, rarity, and astonishing fortune. And its power is undeniable. In the right hands, with the right knowledge, this coin transforms from something ordinary into a treasure worth over $1 million. So, if you ever doubt the potential of what's in your pocket change, think again. The 1981 P. Washington quarter proves that extraordinary value can hide in the most unassuming places. One man's careful eye turned a simple coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And today, the secret is out. Your chance to spot it, to claim it, to hold a piece of history worth millions, could be right in front of you. Every detail matters. Every coin is a story. And this story, of the 1981 P. Washington quarter, is one of astonishing suspense, hidden treasure, and life-changing discovery. Hold it, study it, respect it, because in that small, unassuming coin lies a potential that most will never see. The potential to be worth over $1 million. Imagine a small, shiny quarter, the kind you've been passing to cashiers for years, hiding a secret worth more than most people make in a lifetime. This isn't just a coin. It's a time capsule, a miracle tucked into plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to discover it. The story begins at the Philadelphia Mint in 2003. They were producing the Missouri State Quarters, part of the celebrated 50 State Quarters program, intended to honor each state with unique designs. On the Missouri quarter, the front shows George Washington as always, calm, stoic, unchanging. But the back tells a story few ever noticed. The design featured the Gateway Arch, a symbol of westward expansion, paired with the state's motto. Yet, something went terribly wrong in the minting process. Collectors first started noticing it in obscure coin shows. Whispered rumors of a strange Missouri quarter began circulating. Some coins had doubled dies, faint scratches that shouldn't exist, and tiny die cracks that gave them an almost otherworldly glow. But the truly rare error was almost invisible. A tiny misalignment in the mint mark on some 2003 P. Missouri quarters created a ripple effect that experts now call a $1 million anomaly. You might think it sounds subtle, insignificant even, but that tiny flaw, that almost laughable minting mistake, turned an ordinary quarter into a treasure. And once the story leaked, dealers were suddenly chasing it like hunters after the last wild tiger. Entire collections were sifted through, drawers were emptied, piggy banks cracked open. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle overnight. The first shocking auction sale cemented its legend. A coin, nearly indistinguishable from any other Missouri quarter, sold $4,215,000. And then another, just a week later, went for $350,000. By the end of that month, whispers turned into headlines. Collectors were stunned, dealers were panicked, and every coin enthusiast began the hunt of a lifetime. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A retired postal worker from Missouri casually took a handful of quarters from his change jar to a local coin dealer. He didn't even know what he had. The dealer's eyes widened, a flash of recognition, and immediately, the room was buzzing with excitement. That single coin sold for over $1 million. One ordinary man's everyday routine had produced an unimaginable fortune. The secret lies in the details. The precise placement of the P mint mark, the subtle doubling on the inscriptions, and an almost imperceptible ridge line along the gateway arch. Most people would miss it in a heartbeat. That's why millions of these quarters continue to sit in drawers, untouched, unrecognized. Yet each one carries the potential to change a life forever. Collectors were shocked not just by the value, but by the story behind each coin. These weren't coins that got lost in a forgotten corner of the world. They were accidents of history, minting errors that the United States Mint never intended. Dealers scrambled to verify provenance. Historians documented minting anomalies, and suddenly, the 2003 P Missouri quarter wasn't just a coin. It was a symbol of luck, timing, and sheer chance. Imagine holding one in your hand, feeling the weight of history and the thrill of possibility. This coin could have been spent on coffee, tipped to a waiter, or left in a jar with pennies. Instead, it carries a value that turns heads and opens eyes. It's proof that miracles sometimes come in the form of everyday objects. But the story doesn't end there. Even among collectors, some details are often overlooked. The coin must have its original luster intact. Slight wear or scratches can slash its value dramatically. Authenticity is crucial. Fakes are out there, trying to mimic that rare misprint, but trained eyes can spot the difference immediately. And perhaps most importantly, the coin must have the precise alignment of the mint mark and die error. That alignment is what distinguishes a quarter worth a few dollars from one worth over $1 million. Every collector knows the excitement of the hunt. Sorting through rolls of change, staring at coins under magnification, the thrill of discovering an anomaly that no one else has seen. But the 2003 P Missouri quarter carries a rare intensity. This isn't about completing a collection or earning bragging rights. This is about finding something that could literally transform your life. Every detail, from the smallest ridge to the faintest doubling, matters. Dealers still get calls every day. People claiming to have found $1 million quarter. Some are mistaken, yes, but others have discovered exactly what the experts have been searching for decades. The energy, the suspense, the shock. This coin has it all. And each discovery reminds collectors why coin collecting is more than a hobby. It's a modern-day treasure hunt, with fortunes waiting for the observant, the patient, and the lucky. And now, the most important part. How to identify this coin yourself. Look for the mint mark carefully. The P should be slightly off-center, subtly raised in a way that catches light differently. Examine the inscriptions, particularly the words along the edge. Slight doubling or ridge lines along the gateway arch are the true indicators. Check for wear carefully. Too much, and it loses its $1 million potential. And if in doubt, have it authenticated by a professional. These subtle cues are what separate a standard Missouri quarter from a life-changing artifact. Collectors were astonished when they realized how many of these coins were still in circulation, sitting quietly in wallets and coin jars, waiting to be discovered. Each discovery reignites the dream. Every roll of change could hide a fortune. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and yours could too. So next time you dig into your change, slow down. Look closely. Hold each coin to the light. Feel the weight. Examine the edges. Search for anomalies that might seem insignificant to the untrained eye. Because hidden among the ordinary, the mundane, the everyday, could be a piece of history. A coin worth over $1 million. This exact 2003 P Missouri quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, waiting for the moment that changes your life forever. Imagine reaching into your pocket or digging through your old coin jar and finding a 1967 quarter. one without George Washington stamped on the front. It sounds impossible, almost like something out of a collector's fever dream. But this isn't fiction. This is a coin that has shocked the entire numismatic world, and it could be hiding in your house right now. Back in 1967, the United States Mint was in turmoil. The nation was deep into coin shortages, and collectors were frantic. Quarters, dimes, and pennies were disappearing from circulation faster than anyone could track. Amid the chaos, a tiny error slipped through the cracks. A coin that should have featured Washington's profile came out blank. No face, no usual markings. Just a smooth, unassuming quarter that looks like any ordinary coin at first glance. But what collectors soon realized was that this blank quarter was worth far more than anyone imagined. At first, people laughed at it. It's just a mistake, they said. Some even joked that it could be worth a few bucks at most. But then the whispers began, stories circulating through collector circles, growing louder and more urgent. One man's casual discovery at a flea market stunned everyone. He picked up a handful of quarters, flipped them over, and froze. There it was, a 1967 quarter with no Washington, as if the mint itself had made a coin disappear. He didn't know it at the time, but he had just found a piece that could sell for nearly $1 million. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. Dealers scrambled to verify its authenticity. Experts debated how such an error could even exist, and the auction scene erupted with frenzy. Coins that once circulated quietly in pockets and cash registers were now being chased with the kind of fervor usually reserved for gold bars. One auction saw a single 1967 no Washington quarter pull in over $1.2 million, a record that left seasoned collectors speechless. Collectors were shocked by more than just the value. The story behind each coin added layers of intrigue. Some were rumored to have been minted accidentally in secret test runs, meant only for internal checks. Others were thought to be one-of-a-kind mistakes, hiding in plain sight for decades. Every coin told a different story, but all had one thing in common: the ability to turn ordinary pocket change into a life-changing fortune. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Most people have passed by this coin hundreds of times without noticing anything unusual. It's subtle. The absence of Washington isn't obvious unless you know what to look for. That tiny detail, the missing profile, is why it's worth millions. Most collectors search for shiny, pristine quarters with obvious errors, but the 1967 no Washington quarter hides in plain sight. Almost invisible to the untrained I.1 man, a retired schoolteacher, recounts how he found his coin while cleaning out his childhood coin collection. He remembers flipping it over absent-mindedly, thinking, "That's strange." He showed it to a local dealer, expecting a shrug or a polite smile. Instead, the dealer nearly dropped it. Within hours, news spread, and what was once forgotten pocket change became a $1 million miracle. The excitement, the disbelief, the sudden realization that ordinary coins could hide extraordinary value. It's a story that repeats itself every time a no Washington quarter is discovered. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. The market is intense, almost frantic, because there are so few of them. Even minor differences in wear, strike, or patina can change a coin's value dramatically. One coin might sell for $1 million, while a nearly identical one could be worth hundreds of thousands less. It's a subtle, delicate game of numismatic treasure hunting, and every detail counts. But the story isn't just about the money. There's a deeper thrill here: the sense of discovery, the rush of uncovering something thought impossible. Imagine opening a drawer, a dusty old coin jar, or even your wallet, and realizing you're holding a piece of history, a coin that could change your life. That's the lure of the 1967 no Washington quarter. Every collector dreams of that moment. Every auction stirs that longing. And every single coin carries the potential to become a legend. First, look closely at the obverse, the front. There should be no Washington profile. The fields may show light markings or faint impressions from the minting process, but the absence of George is the key. Don't be fooled by faint wear or post-mint scratches. Experts can usually tell the difference immediately. Second, check the weight and diameter. These coins were struck from standard planchets, so dimensions are typical, but the missing profile sets them apart. Finally, consider the provenance. If you found the coin in circulation, in a jar, or inherited it, you might have something extraordinarily rare. Be cautious of common mistakes. Some quarters are damaged or altered, creating the illusion of a missing profile. Only a trained eye or professional grading service can confirm a true 1967 No Washington quarter. And that confirmation, that validation, is what can transform a simple coin into $1 million treasure. This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Imagine the excitement, the disbelief, the thrill of knowing that something so ordinary could hold extraordinary value. That's the magic of the 1967 No Washington quarter. It's not just a coin. It's a story, a mystery, and potentially the key to a life-changing fortune. Collectors across the country continue to hunt for these coins, and each discovery makes headlines. Auctions are electric with anticipation. Dealers whisper about hidden stashes in old coin rolls, forgotten collections in basements, and coins passed down through generations. The 1967 No Washington quarter is elusive, powerful, and more captivating than any coin story in decades. And remember, the next one could be yours. One coin, lost in time, hiding in a pocket or a jar, waiting to be discovered. The thrill of the hunt, the emotional rush, the life-altering value, it's all there. Each coin carries history, intrigue, and a chance at unimaginable fortune. So next time you reach for change, don't just glance. Look carefully. Examine each quarter. One subtle detail, the missing profile of George Washington, could mean you're holding a coin worth over $1 million. That's not a fantasy. That's reality. And the reality is waiting for someone, maybe even you. Imagine holding a coin in your hand and not knowing it could change your life forever. One ordinary day, someone like you could reach into their pocket, and this tiny piece of metal could be worth over $1 million. It sounds impossible, but history proves it happens more often than you'd think. The story of the 2015 Saratoga quarter is shrouded in mystery. At first glance, it looks like any other circulating quarter, silver in color, the familiar Washington profile staring back at you. But hidden within its design is a minting error so rare, so elusive, that collectors around the world are scrambling. The U.S. Mint, in 2015, accidentally released a batch of these coins with subtle anomalies that most people completely miss. And those anomalies? They can skyrocket the value into the millions. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A collector in upstate New York had been casually rolling through pocket change, ignoring coins worth even a few dollars. He didn't know the significance of what he had picked up until he noticed something odd, a slight misalignment in the lettering and a barely visible doubling on the date. At first, he thought it was just wear and tear. But a closer look revealed a secret only true coin experts could recognize. A minting error that turns a standard quarter into a fortune. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Entire forums exploded with discussions about this 2015 Saratoga quarter. Some coins have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, but the rarest examples, perfectly preserved, untouched by time, could fetch over $1 million at auction. And yet, most people will never notice them in their own pockets, their drawers, or their coin collections. Collectors were shocked when one coin, almost discarded during a garage cleanout, ended up being graded at the highest level by the professional coin grading service. The story made headlines. One man's pocket change had become $1 million miracle. It's hard to imagine. One ordinary person unknowingly holding wealth beyond comprehension, hidden in plain sight for years. But here's the twist that most people miss. It's not just the minting error itself that makes the coin valuable. It's the rarity combined with its near-perfect condition. A tiny scratch, a minor imperfection, or even slight wear can drop the value drastically. That's why collectors are obsessively checking every 2015 Saratoga quarter they can find, sometimes even scouring rolls of coins from banks, searching for that once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And yet, for those who find it, the rewards are staggering. Imagine walking into a local coin shop with a coin you thought was worth 25 cents, only to have the dealer's eyes widen in disbelief. The coin you hold in your hand could turn into $1 million story overnight. This isn't a dream. It's the reality for anyone patient and attentive enough to spot the right anomalies. You might be wondering, how do you even identify this coin? What subtle details hide its staggering value? First, look at the date. The 2015 P is the key year, But the magic lies in tiny details, slight doubling on the date, misalignment of the lettering, and certain anomalies in the background. Under magnification, these coins reveal patterns invisible to the casual eye, patterns that separate a standard quarter from a collector's holy grail. And don't be fooled by fakes or near misses. Dealers warn that only coins verified by top grading services are worth chasing. One misplaced mark, one incorrect assumption, and you could overlook a life-changing discovery. That's why the story of this quarter is so thrilling. It's not just about luck. It's about knowledge, attention to detail, and the thrill of finding what most people overlooked. Here's a part of the story that will make your heart race. One collector bought a roll of quarters for a few dollars at a local bank, hoping to find a collectible coin. Hidden among dozens of ordinary quarters was the 2015 P. Saratoga, a coin so rare it had the power to change his life overnight. The discovery made headlines, inspiring thousands of collectors to double-check their own coins, hoping to find their own fortune. But what's even more fascinating is the history behind the Saratoga quarter itself. It commemorates the pivotal battle that helped turn the tide during the Revolutionary War. A coin designed to honor victory and strategy, and now, ironically, a victory in the modern collector world. The symbolic connection adds an emotional layer to the coin's value, making it more than just metal. It's a tangible piece of history, combined with the thrill of an accidental treasure hunt. Why now? You're probably itching to know the exact details to watch for. The mint mark, P, is crucial, but the errors are subtle, doubling along the date, inconsistencies in the lettering, and minor irregularities on the horse image on the reverse side. Use a magnifying glass, check under bright light, and compare against verified examples online. Each tiny detail can mean the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and a $1 million discovery. And here's the most dramatic part. Every single day, these coins are hiding in plain sight. In wallets, drawers, jars, even old collections passed down for decades. Most people will never recognize them. Most people will spend their life unknowingly passing by the most valuable coins in existence. But for those who know what to look for, who take the time to examine, inspect, and verify, the possibility of stumbling onto a coin worth over $1 million is real. The 2015 P. Saratoga quarter isn't just a coin. It's a story waiting to unfold in your hands, a mystery begging to be solved, and a potential treasure ready to reward those who dare to look closely. Its rarity, condition, and hidden errors create a perfect storm, a coin that captures the imagination of collectors everywhere. So, if you ever find a 2015 P. Saratoga quarter, don't dismiss it. Don't assume it's just another quarter. Examine every angle, every detail, and if it matches the hallmarks of this rare coin, you could be holding a fortune. This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Imagine holding something in your hand, a coin you've seen 1,000 times, and realizing it could transform your life. That's exactly what happened with the 2006 P. South Dakota quarter dollar. Most people passed it by, unaware of the hidden secret stamped into its surface, the kind of secret that sends shockwaves through the coin world. That it all started quietly, as most incredible discoveries do. In a small town, a man was sorting through decades of pocket change, expecting nothing more than the clink of ordinary coins. But then he noticed something unusual about one quarter. At first glance, it was just a 2006 South Dakota quarter, minted in Philadelphia, ordinary in every way. Yet there was a detail, subtle and almost invisible, that told a story no one had expected. Collectors were shocked when this coin appeared on the market. It was a minting anomaly, a rare error that the U.S. Mint itself never intended to exist. Dealers scrambled, experts examined it under microscopes, and suddenly, a coin worth mere 25 cents was being whispered about in the same breath as million-dollar treasures. One man's pocket change had become a million-dollar miracle, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. This wasn't just any error. It was a misstrike, a flaw so rare that only a handful are known to exist. The coin's design, normally crisp and uniform, showed an unexpected doubling on the lettering, a slight misalignment in the ridge, and a hint of metal flow that experts described as breathtaking. Every tiny detail added to its value, making collectors desperate to get their hands on it. Auctions were packed, phone lines rang off the hook, and bids climbed higher than anyone imagined. Dealers were racing against each other, each knowing that missing this coin could mean missing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And yet, the coin remained elusive, hiding quietly in the hands of someone who had no idea of the fortune they were holding. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. You might be walking past it in your wallet right now, completely oblivious to the fortune it represents. That faint doubling of the letters, that subtle shift in the rim, these are the hallmarks that make this coin extraordinary. And yet, to the untrained eye, it looks like any other South Dakota quarter minted in 2006. The story of its discovery is as dramatic as its value. The first man who recognized its uniqueness was a casual collector, someone who never imagined his hobby could lead to wealth. When he took it to a local dealer, the reaction was immediate disbelief. "Where did you find this?" the dealer asked, staring at the coin as if it had appeared from another world. It was a moment that changed everything. A quiet, ordinary day turned into the kind of story collectors dream about. But the surprises didn't end there. When this coin reached auction, the bids skyrocketed. Million-dollar whispers turned into confirmed offers, and suddenly, what was once pocket change became a headline-making treasure. People who had scoffed at the idea of errors in modern quarters were now reconsidering every coin in their collection. This one coin proved that even in 2006, the U.S. Mint could create something extraordinary, something capable of making someone a millionaire overnight. Collectors were shocked not only by the value, but by the rarity. Only a few of these coins exist, and each one carries the same subtle misstrike that makes it so desirable. This is why attention to detail matters more than luck. You have to know exactly what to look for. Every ridge, every letter, every glint of light on the surface tells a story. And in that story lies millions of dollars in potential. That it's not just a coin. It's a lesson in patience, observation, and timing. One man's curiosity, one moment of careful examination, turned an ordinary quarter into a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Dealers and collectors alike marvel at how something so small can have such immense power. And the truth is, you don't need to travel to a faraway auction house to find one. It could be hiding in your drawer right now. Pay attention to the key details. The mint mark, P, indicates it was minted in Philadelphia. Look closely at the lettering on the obverse. Any sign of doubling or slight distortion is critical. Check the rim carefully. Misalignment here is rare and highly prized. And always compare to a standard 2006 P South Dakota quarter to see the subtle differences. This is how experts identify a potential million-dollar coin hiding in plain sight. But the thrill doesn't end with identification. Imagine the possibilities. You reach into your pocket, your coin collection, or that jar of spare change, and suddenly, you realize you hold something extraordinary. This isn't fantasy. It's happened before. One coin, overlooked for years, suddenly became the center of a million-dollar story. Every collector dreams of that moment. And with this coin, it's more than a dream. It's a tangible, achievable reality. Even seasoned collectors are amazed at how the value escalates. From quiet corners of homes and offices to the bright lights of auction halls, this coin travels, carrying the promise of wealth. Each sale, each whisper of its existence, increases its legend. Dealers are constantly on alert, knowing that missing one of these coins could cost them millions. And yet, most people still don't recognize it when they see it. The suspense is real because the stakes are high. A coin that would normally be tossed aside is now worth the equivalent of a house, a car, or even a lifetime of dreams fulfilled. And it all comes down to the tiniest of details. A shift in lettering, a subtle ridge misalignment, the faintest hint of a minting anomaly. These are the keys that unlock millions of dollars hidden in plain sight. Study the coin carefully. Look for the P mint mark. Examine the letters on the obverse for any doubling. Inspect the rim and the flow of metal. Any misalignment or unusual texture could be the sign that sets this coin apart. Compare it against standard 2006 P South Dakota quarters. And when in doubt, consult a professional. The right eyes can confirm what your instincts already suspect. That you could be holding a million-dollar treasure. One man's curiosity turned pocket change into an unimaginable fortune. That could be your story too. This coin, overlooked by the masses, has the power to change lives. Every time a new owner discovers it, the history repeats itself: shock, disbelief, awe, and ultimately joy. The thrill of recognition, the adrenaline of realization, the certainty that a coin in your hand could be worth over $1 million. It's a feeling no collector forgets. This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now. A coin minted quietly in Philadelphia. A coin overlooked for years. A coin hiding a secret that could transform your life. Million-dollar whispers have become reality before, and they can again. The opportunity is rare, the stakes are high, and the reward is life-changing. This is more than a story. It's a call to action. Look closely at your quarters. Study them, learn them, respect the details. Because hidden in the ordinary, there may be something extraordinary. One small coin, one incredible misstrike, and suddenly, what was once just pocket change is worth over $1 million. Imagine holding a piece of metal in your hand that could transform an ordinary life into a story of unimaginable fortune. Most people pass by it every day without a clue. But this coin? It's a secret the coin world has been whispering about for decades. Back in 1985, the U.S. Mint struck millions of Washington quarters, all seemingly identical. But hidden among the ordinary, there was a rare anomaly. A minting error that would make one coin worth far more than anyone could have predicted. Dealers who noticed it first were stunned. Collectors who stumbled upon it couldn't believe their luck. One ordinary man, just sorting through change at his kitchen table, discovered a coin that would later fetch nearly $1 million at auction. This wasn't just any mistake. It's a perfectly preserved 1985 D Washington quarter with an error so subtle, most eyes will never catch it. The details are microscopic: a tiny doubling on the lettering, a faint misalignment of the mint mark, almost invisible unless you know where to look. And that's exactly why it's worth millions. Most people overlook it. But the collectors who know? They're willing to pay a fortune. Imagine the scene. A quiet auction room, a gavel poised to fall, and the coin placed under a magnifying glass. The crowd whispers. The auctioneer raises the bid. A collector, trembling with anticipation, shouts a number that seems impossible. The room freezes, and then the hammer comes down. One coin, one small piece of change, suddenly a $1 million miracle. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread like wildfire. Dealers began scouring local coin shops, banks, even garage sales. Everyone wanted a piece of this elusive treasure. Phone lines lit up. Emails flooded inboxes. One man's pocket change had become the stuff of legends. Collectors were shocked. How could a coin minted in such large numbers hide such extraordinary value? The answer lies in the details. Not all 1985 D quarters are equal. Only coins with that tiny, almost imperceptible error carry the magic. The difference is like night and day, a whisper between ordinary and priceless. And then there's the story of a retired schoolteacher in Ohio. He found his coin while emptying a jar of quarters he'd saved over decades. At first, he thought it was just another quarter. But a friend, a casual collector, noticed the peculiar mint mark. A quick call to a local dealer changed everything. The coin was authenticated, graded, and before he knew it, the little piece of change that had jingled in his pocket for years was suddenly worth more than the house he lived in. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The mint mark on the 1985 D quarters tells the story. Look for subtle doubling on the D and slight anomalies in the lettering along the rim. Some coins show a faint doubling near the date. Others have a softer strike that collectors prize. It takes patience, a trained eye, and a hint of luck to spot it. Imagine the excitement of holding one in your hand, feeling the smooth edge, noticing the glint in the copper-nickel surface, knowing that somewhere within that metal is a fortune waiting to be claimed. The thrill isn't just in the money. It's in the hunt, the discovery, the knowledge that you might be holding a secret that others have missed for decades. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins, often paying six figures for the privilege of inspecting a single example. And auctions? They're explosive. Some 1985 D quarters with perfect doubling have fetched prices that make headlines. One coin recently brought nearly $1 million, a life-changing sum for whoever had the foresight to keep it. Even the experts are amazed. Numismatists pore over every coin from 1985, studying minting records, comparing photographs, and examining every possible variation. The slightest imperfection or deviation can elevate a coin from common pocket change to $1 million treasure. And here's the kicker. Most people have walked past these coins in their wallets, jars, and drawers, unaware of their potential. That's the beauty and the mystery. It could be sitting right next to your morning coffee cup, waiting to reveal itself. The thrill of discovery is as potent as the value itself. Look for the mint mark, the D for Denver, and inspect it closely under magnification. Notice any doubling in the lettering, any shift in the date or rim. Handle the coin carefully. Even tiny scratches can affect its value. Compare it to standard examples. Learn the subtle differences. The coin is rare, but not impossible to identify. Knowledge is the key. This is more than a coin. It's a story of luck, timing, and a bit of serendipity. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another's careful "I turned a jar of quarters into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery." Every collector dreams of this moment, finding a coin that changes everything, that transforms ordinary days into stories you tell for a lifetime. Imagine showing this coin to a friend, the disbelief in their eyes as you explain its value. Imagine the realization hitting that this little piece of metal in your hand could buy cars, vacations, or even a small home. It's almost surreal, and yet completely possible. Patience and attention to detail are everything. Scour your quarters, examine the mint marks, study images online, and learn the subtle indicators. This is not about luck alone. It's about preparation meeting opportunity. Millions of coins were minted in 1985, but only a handful possess the traits that make them worth millions. Every time you hold one, remember that you're touching history. You're holding a coin that almost no one knew existed, yet it carries the weight of fortune. It's a reminder that treasures are often hidden in plain sight, waiting for the curious, the diligent, and the bold. This exact 1985 D. Washington quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. One ordinary quarter, one simple discovery, could turn your life upside down. The thrill, the suspense, the unimaginable possibility, all resting in the palm of your hand. But today, collectors would pay over $1 million to hold it. Imagine something so small, so ordinary, sitting in your pocket, could be the key to a life-changing fortune. The story of the 1997 D. Washington quarter is one of secrets, mistakes, and a twist of fate that stunned the entire coin world. It all began at the Denver Mint, where in 1997, a batch of quarters was quietly produced. Most went out into circulation without a second glance, but a tiny, almost invisible error went unnoticed. Something so subtle that even seasoned collectors could have walked past it without a second thought. And yet, this small flaw turned ordinary metal into $1 million treasure. One collector, who had been searching through pocket change for decades, stumbled upon a quarter that seemed different. At first, he thought it was just another worn coin, a remnant of the past. But there was a hint of something unusual in its shine, a slight irregularity in the mint mark that made him pause. What he discovered next would shock even the most experienced dealers. This coin carries a minting error so rare, only a handful exist. Most quarters from 1997 bear the Denver D mint mark clearly, but on this coin, the mark is doubled, slightly misaligned, almost hidden. It's a ghost of a minting mistake that the mint never corrected. One tiny slip of the die created a ripple that would echo across the coin-collecting world for decades. Dealers who saw it couldn't believe their eyes. A coin so common, so unassuming, could now command prices rivaling gold, rare stamps, and even classic cars. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread slowly, almost like a secret whispered from collector to collector. Auctions began reporting bids in the hundreds of thousands. And then, one remarkable sale turned heads everywhere. A single 1997 D. Washington quarter sold for nearly $1.6 million. Collectors were shocked. Experts were speechless. And the lucky owner? They had stumbled into history. The story of this coin is not just about its value. It's about the mystery behind its creation. Why did this error slip through? Why do only a few exist? Some believe the error was a rare consequence of a rushed minting process, a day when precision faltered for just a moment. Others think it's fate, a twist of destiny for those sharp-eyed enough to notice. Whatever the truth, the coin became legendary, a symbol of how fortune sometimes hides in the most ordinary places. Imagine holding it in your hand. The weight of history, the shimmer of silver, the whisper of its hidden story. Every line, every detail carries the secret of millions waiting to be discovered. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on it. Collectors can barely keep track of new finds. And yet, most people still pass it by, unaware of the fortune they could be carrying in their wallets. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The double Denver Mint mark is faint, almost imperceptible without careful inspection. But spot it, and you're holding one of the rarest coins in existence. Unlike other coins that gain value slowly over decades, this one can skyrocket in a single auction, transforming an ordinary day into a millionaire's story. Some of the most jaw-dropping moments in coin history involve this very coin. At one private auction, two bidders fought silently, the tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. The final hammer fell, and a single quarter became a $1 million piece of history. Imagine the disbelief, the exhilaration, the life-changing thrill. Collectors were left in awe, whispering about how a single, unassuming coin could alter lives forever. But finding this coin is not just luck, it's skill, patience, and knowledge. Know what to look for. First, check the mint mark closely. The Denver D should show doubling, slightly misaligned. Second, inspect the edges and the date. Slight anomalies in the strike can be a telltale sign. Third, pay attention to the luster. Even worn coins can reveal hidden secrets if held under the right light. And most importantly, trust your instincts. If it feels different, it probably is. Every collector dreams of discovering a coin that changes their life. The 1997 D. Washington quarter is more than just a coin. It's a story of chance, an artifact of history, and a beacon of hope for anyone who believes that fortune favors the observant. From the humblest pocket change to the dazzling heights of million-dollar auctions, it reminds us that treasures often lie hidden in plain sight. Dealers are already scanning circulation, collectors are digging through rolls, and yet, the coin remains elusive. That's what makes it so intoxicating. The hunt itself becomes part of the story. Each time you hold a quarter, each time you examine it closely, you could be standing on the brink of a fortune. One man's curiosity, one careful glance, could have been the difference between ordinary change and a $1 million miracle. And the story doesn't end there. Every discovery adds to the legend. Every auction sets new records. Every coin found sends waves through the collector community, reminding us that even the smallest mistakes can become monumental treasures. The 1997 D. Washington quarter is proof that history is alive, that chance and observation can collide to create something extraordinary. Look closely at the mint mark. Study the edges and the strike of the coin. Compare it to standard 1997 D quarters. Even tiny differences can signal the presence of a rare error. Remember, the doubly struck mint mark is subtle. Only the most observant eyes catch it. And once you've identified it, hold it carefully, because this tiny quarter could be worth a life-altering sum. This is a story of patience, luck, and the thrill of discovery. It's a reminder that the most ordinary items can hide extraordinary secrets. A coin from 1997, minted quietly in Denver, might just be sitting in your wallet, waiting to reveal its astonishing value. This exact quarter could be your gateway to a $1 million dream. So next time you dig through your change, pause. Look closely. That small glimmer, that slight imperfection, it could be the very coin that collectors across the country would pay over $1 million to hold. One glance, one careful inspection, and you could be standing at the threshold of an unbelievable story. This is more than a coin. It's history, it's mystery, it's the chance to change your life forever. It all started with a coin that nearly disappeared into a tip jar, a coin that, if lost, would have cost someone over $1 million. The 2013 D. Great Basin quarter looked ordinary at first glance. Most people saw nothing more than a shiny piece of pocket change. But collectors who knew the secret, the hidden anomaly, were stunned. This wasn't just a quarter. This was a coin with a story so unbelievable, it would make even seasoned dealers question everything they thought they knew about modern coins. In 2013, the U.S. Mint released the Great Basin quarter as part of the America the Beautiful series. Thousands of quarters poured into circulation, destined for wallets, vending machines, and cash registers. No one imagined that among these ordinary coins, a few rare anomalies were slipping through unnoticed. These coins carried tiny minting errors, barely visible to the naked eye, but powerful enough to send collectors scrambling. One man, a lifelong coin enthusiast, was sorting through a batch of quarters he'd collected over the years. A glint of light caught his eye. He picked up a 2013 D Great Basin quarter and immediately noticed something unusual. The design was slightly off, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable to someone who knew the signs. His heart raced as he realized he might be holding a coin worth millions of dollars. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. The coin, which looked like everyday change, was examined by top numismatic experts. Every detail was scrutinized: the tiny discrepancies in the lettering, the unusual doubling of the design, the almost imperceptible shift in the mint mark. Dealers were shocked. Collectors were shocked. One man's casual curiosity had uncovered a coin that could change his life forever. This coin had a story few knew. The errors occurred during a rare minting anomaly at the Denver Mint in 2013. A misaligned die combined with slight metal inconsistencies produced a quarter that was technically part of the official release, but so unusual, so rare, that experts quickly recognized its value. For years, these coins had been hiding in circulation, unassuming and unnoticed, waiting for someone sharp-eyed enough to spot their secret. Collectors who found this coin were suddenly propelled into a whirlwind of excitement. Auctions were arranged, private sales made, and the coin's value skyrocketed. What started as a simple pocket coin suddenly had millions of dollars attached to it. One auction alone saw a 2013 D Great Basin quarter sell for nearly $1.7 million. Imagine holding what looks like a simple quarter in your hand, only to discover it could buy a house, fund a dream, or change your life entirely. And yet, most people still overlook this coin. They see the familiar design of a Nevada landscape, the Great Basin National Park scene, and move on. But it's the tiny details, almost impossible to notice without knowing exactly what to look for, that make this coin priceless. The die doubling, the misaligned mint mark, and the faint anomaly near the edge of the coin. These are the signals that separate a common quarter from a modern numismatic miracle, but the story doesn't end there. Some collectors were careless, spending these rare quarters in vending machines or using them to park meters. Dealers lamented the lost opportunities, realizing that the next million-dollar coin could easily vanish in a cup of coffee or a toll booth tray. This tiny oversight made the stakes even higher for anyone hunting the elusive 2013 D Great Basin quarter. What made this coin even more incredible was its secrecy. Unlike older rare coins, the 2013 D Great Basin quarter was contemporary. Anyone could find it in their wallet, their couch cushions, or among spare change from the grocery store. One man's pocket change became a million-dollar miracle. And yet, the majority of the population walked past it every day, oblivious to the fortunes slipping through their fingers. Collectors were desperate to identify these coins before anyone else could. Forums lit up with discussions, photos, and tips. Dealers traveled across states to examine individual coins in hand, each hoping to uncover the subtle errors that would reveal a quarter worth over $1 million. It was a modern treasure hunt, invisible to most, but life-changing to the few who could see it. The excitement reached a fever pitch when an anonymous collector revealed a stack of 2013 D Great Basin quarters at a private auction. Each coin was examined meticulously under magnification. The anomalies, once nearly invisible, became undeniable. The crowd gasped as the coins were authenticated. Million-dollar bids flew across the room. People who had never imagined touching a modern coin worth this much suddenly realized that the world of numismatics could be both thrilling and transformative. First, check the mint mark. The D must be perfectly aligned, but subtle doubling might appear under magnification. Look at the lettering along the top edge. Any signs of shadowing or duplication could indicate the coin is one of the rare errors. Examine the design itself. A slight misalignment of the landscape, tiny irregularities in the engraved trees or mountains, could be the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. This coin demands a careful eye, patience, and knowledge. Most importantly, don't assume that a coin has to be old to be valuable. Modern minting errors are increasingly sought after by collectors, and the 2013 D Great Basin Quarter is the perfect example. It proves that even in a wallet full of change, a life-changing discovery could be hiding. This coin embodies hope, surprise, and the thrill of the hunt. The essence of coin collecting at its finest, as dealers and collectors continue to scour the country for these rare quarters. The story of the 2013 D Great Basin Quarter grows more legendary. Each discovery adds to its mystique, each auction increases its value, and each moment brings us closer to the realization that fortune can appear when we least expect it. One man's ordinary quarter could be another man's ticket to $1 million life. Remember, every coin has a story, but some tell stories louder than others. The 2013 D Great Basin Quarter is a story of chance, secrecy, and astonishing value. And the most remarkable part? This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, waiting for the moment when you finally notice the hidden detail that makes it worth over $1 million.